Well, we're looking at gaming being seeing a rapid growth, but it still needs the right skill sets, minds, and strategists to make the most of the sector's potential. Well, to talk this and much more, we're joined by our eminent panelists. With that, I'd now request Danish, who's the moderator and the session chair for this one, to take it forth. Since we started, Danish, with a 5 minutes delay, I'm going to be adding that. And
okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Abhishek, first question for you. How gaming is powering employment generation in India?
Hello, guys.
Hi.
Thanks a lot. I'm sure everybody of you are having a wonderful day. If I talk about generating employment in the gaming industry, see, again, we just need to look after what are the career options in gaming and esports.
Okay.
So, like majorly people understand that there are like very limited career options in gaming and esports, that you can be a content creator and you can be an esports athlete. But what I believe, right, there are a lot of career options. So in fact, at Trinity only, we have identified like somewhat around 7 to 8 career options, like being a social media manager, being a talent manager, being a creative support guy. Or if we talk about tournaments, there are like a lot of career options in that area too. For example, league ops or production manager or AR specialist. To be frank, nowadays the productions in gaming industry is going to a next level. If you see locally or globally. So employment generation is happening. For example, if I talk about my own personal capacity, like when we started Trinity Gaming, we were like 2 to 3 people who were running this particular organization. Today we are at like, we have like 35 people managing almost 600 content creators from the country. So employment generation is actually there in the gaming industry, and it is growing every day. Like it is growing multiple folds nowadays.
Okay, but you gave more of a business sense to like the other, like the streaming platforms and other platforms. Parinita, do you want to add about the development cycles, how the industry has been growing in that side in India, especially?
Thank you, Danish, for that. Hello, everyone. So, yes, so for understanding the employment opportunities, I would like to start with like a very basic economics question, which says like supply is created wherever there is a demand. And with the way gaming industry is seeing the demand, the growth is multifold, like Vishek just said. So, of course, it is automatically creating the supply. So, if you see that, there's the increase in mobile penetration, which is caused for the gaming to go, like mobile is one of the most penetrated, equipments right now, and it goes to the lowest level of the strata, and gaming is being picked up by everyone. So now it's being viewed as a segment per se, where people are now considering it as a serious, career option. So be it as an influencer, be it as, it could be direct or it could be indirect. Now, direct is when you talk about when there's a developer, when there's a programmer, things like that. So that is one of the fields where people take a direct career option. Whereas when there is indirect, so if the segment itself is growing multifold, it automatically creates the financial sector, the marketing, everyone to diverse to, kind of pull in their energies towards making gaming more bigger. And, then you need people to manage it. So again, so that is when it pulls in people in ancillary roles. So it's all about the segment in itself swelling up, which causes the whole, the ball to become bigger, and within it creates opportunities by itself. So and with the mindset of the people changing from, looking at gaming only for kids to only men, it's involving everyone. It's involving men, women, kids, older generation, even people above 60 play now. So that really, it is considered, it is becoming a part of the economy now, okay, as the demographic is changing. So it is itself creating what is required, more career opportunities. So I think, the industry itself is building what is required for it.
So Pranav, this question is for you. Like, how do you see gaming influencers rising in India, and what do you see how big they can become? Will they be the next PewDiePie or not? Or do you think there is one right now in India who can be such an influencer?
I mean, definitely. Why not? I mean, bigger than PewDiePie, we have some channels, even though they are corporates, but they have the audience. Of course, our organization sort of represents some of the biggest talents right now, and they're growing at insane growth of, let's say, 1 million subscribers a month, right? So we are looking at the next PewDiePie or someone probably even innovating in their content and bringing in much higher value than PewDiePie. So I think we're going to, in India itself, there are some standards which are going to be set for the world to sort of look at.
So the next question is for Piyush. Piyush, Dota, CS, and all these games are going big globally, and you can make a lot of money out of like championships and streaming. So India is still not in the right position where we can say all like to maximum number of people who are streaming or playing games to go in such an area. So what do you expect within the next 10 years? Will we see a rise in this esports in a way which is highly economically feasible and will also make them rich or wealthy in some sorts as gamers, game streamers, or content creators, or even champions, as a matter of fact?
See, I think from my perspective, while there are a lot of support systems in which careers are getting made at development level, at production level, there are two key careers which are going to come out at a scale. And when we talk about scale, there are two careers that I see it. One is the career of being a streamer. It's something that we are witnessing ourselves, particularly over the last 1 year, where through our creator program, we have seen like more than almost 40,000 people who have signed up as creators. They're growing their base. This is coming from across the country. It requires a certain nuance of people having a certain entertaining skills, besides the fact that they should play the game well. More importantly, what we have seen is that they're getting supported a lot by their parents. The other day, I got literally a WhatsApp message from a mother whose 12-year-old kid is doing pretty well on YouTube. She said, can you sign up with us, etc. So streaming is going to be a big one. The parallel I see is it's going to be very similar to the way TikTok grew in India in the 2 years between 2018 to 2020, wherein they created the 1 million content creators in the short form video content. The next wave is going to be gaming influencers. Now, within gaming influencers, because they spend a lot of time live streaming, the kind of brand engagement, the kind of endorsements they'll pick up will be far, far bigger than people who are creating 30 or 60-second video. Nothing against them, but the live streaming or the live opportunity gives them much more playtime to engage with different brands and to make a lot of money. So that's on the streaming side. The other capability which people are developing, which is on the competitive side, on the esports side, we see a lot of people now signing up as esports athlete. That will develop like a typical sports career. So it won't be like it won't grow very fast. But with the few teams that are getting created, they'll onboard few players, they'll start to compete in competitions. I see that as growing over maybe next 4 to 5 years. But streaming within next 2 years, you'll see at least 500,000 people, 500,000 to 1 million people who are literally serious about this career. And they would be supported by the people around them.
So definitely, I think people will stop sending kids to do engineering and becoming doctors, and like you can choose a little more flexible fun streams.
It's already happening. We just need to see it. I mean, the next big thing I want to see is gaming schools, something that happens in Korea, right? We will see all those coming up where kids.
When you say gaming schools, do you mean development schools or teaching you how to stream?
Development schools are something that is anyways there. I mean, people are learning developing games from different sources. I'm not commenting on that. I'm talking about people who would literally take gaming as a career, either as a streamer or a esports athlete, and they will actually be in an environment where they'll practice playing a game for 8-10 hours, being groomed how to become a streamer or an esports athlete. Fitness will come into play. I mean, you read multiple articles about that in Korea, right? It's amazing how it is happening. And I know a couple of companies in India who are now thinking about it. So I think in another 2-3 years, we'll start to see kids getting enrolled into gaming schools, maybe as early as they are 10 or 11.
Rohit, a specific question for you. You also manage a few pro teams or manage a few pro athletes of India and do streaming. So when will India win the Dota championship or big championship? When do we expect? Like, is there like within the next 5 years? Because we have a huge population and we have big time gamers all across the space. From this, like, let's say if gaming started in 1980s or 70s, we are not that far away also. Like we have seen China winning competitions. We have seen South Korea winning competition. When is Rohit's team going to be the next championship in Dota or CS?
So honestly, we don't have a team in Dota. We've only been focusing on mobile esports. But when you compare the whole thing, like the whole esports ecosystem in India, it's at ground zero right now. And in the West and in probably China, I think it's evolved much further. However, I don't think...
Just a counter question. Why is it not evolving, and what can we do to make it evolve also, according to you?
I mean, I think it's evolving right now, 2020, and I think the lockdown was one of the major, one of the major reasons why esports grew so quickly, and there were a rise of a lot of investments. I think there are 700 investments that have happened in esports companies in the past 1 year.
Yeah.
With that being said, I think it's growing really fast. In fact, the esports market in India is growing at 190% compared to the other countries.
Okay.
I don't think there is a massive skill gap between the players who are from the West and players from India and Asia. I think we'll get there, but however, I think mobile esports in India is going to take like a bigger leap than PC esports.
Why do you say that?
I mean, probably because the mobile data plans in India have gotten really cheap. India has become the second largest smartphone market in the world. And I mean, with like the whole disposable income that people have in India, I think for them to afford a budget Android phone is much easier than going and, picking up like a fully blown up PC to play Dota. So, I mean, I have my bets on mobile esports mainly. So yeah, that is what.
Got it.
Yeah.
So Pranav, this is a question for you. What do you think? Which are the sectors which will benefit if the gaming industry grows? We are talking about other sectors in the economy, according to you.
Yeah. So I feel there is no limit to what sectors can benefit out of gaming, right? Because it's purely entertainment at the end of the day, right? And I feel no boundary in terms of age, gender, as an audience that will not consume gaming, and we've already seen that happen over the last 1 year. So I feel every genre of an industry will at some point start collaborations with the gaming sector. We've already seen luxury brands like Gucci partner with Roblox. We're seeing music, Travis Scott and stuff like that happening with Fortnite. So I feel there is a lot of overlaps that are going to happen, and majorly all sectors are going to be banking on the aggressive gaming audience there is right now and going to be.
So Parinita, this is a much sensitive question for me also, as I am creating games for women. So my question is, there is a rise of female audience or women audience across the globe and especially in India.
Right.
So, but the streaming audience is slightly imbalanced in a certain way. Like there are less women streamers and less women gamers still in the country.
Right.
What do you think is our localized problem which is preventing women gamers to be like as big as Carrie Minati or someone else? Like, or I could also ask another question to you. Why are women developers less and less in gaming? Because it is an extremely creative field. It's a beautiful white collar job, I would say, like the best white collar job out there to make art, do programming. The most fun you can have is programming a game rather than doing anything else. So what is it missing? Because it's the right kind of job for anyone to want to participate in, according to you.
So see, I would not say that there is any inherent problem in our ecosystem where, that or the mindset that women are not into gaming. Across the globe, we've seen the shift happening slowly.
Yes.
And given now that gaming in India is the way it's swelling up, the shift in India is also very natural and is already happening. For me, myself, being a woman and I'm taking entrepreneurship in gaming, it is, I did receive quizzical glances when I started this, right? So it is just a matter of time. But did that deter me? No, it did not. So it's just about people accepting it. For instance, even in the gaming arena that I have, there are 40 to 45% of the players are females. So I don't think it is any anything to do with why women are not playing or why women are not becoming developers. It's just a matter of time when they will. For instance, like when you say cricket, you see less number of women in cricket, right? You could argue that men have more strength, which is what cricket needs, etc., etc. But in a gaming ecosystem, nothing like that, right? You don't need strength. There's no physical thing that keeps a woman back and puts the men forward, right? It's just a matter of time. Moreover, if you see women even in India are now, they might not be a carry Miniati right now, but he will see someone standing next to him. It's a matter of maybe 3-4 years down the line.
Okay.
So because they are coming up in every field, they're coming up as players, they're coming up as entrepreneurs, leaders, they are coming up as workforce, they're taking developing, streaming, gaming as very serious business. So it is just a matter of time. There is no, I don't see anything that is different globally and in India where women are being pulled back or have some, like a barrier to entry. There is nothing like that. It's just a matter of time. Like as people open up, for instance, it was just a few years ago that gaming was considered only for kids, but now even adults are playing it. So maybe it was pushed by COVID or whatever. But once the push has come, it's now everyone's business. So that's how now women will start coming into it. There already are. So I don't see any reason where this shift will not take place, and this whole inclusion of women, and this was a male dominated industry is what I would say, but it is largely becoming inclusive. Like you say, visibility brings change. And that is what is happening as more and more women are coming ahead in this industry. They're becoming entrepreneurs. They're taking it as a serious business. They are also pulling up women in the segment. Like, you pull up, like I have game masters who are women. It clearly doesn't matter, right? So that's how it is happening. So that change will it's a matter of time, and that is coming, and it will come. It's not, I would say it's a matter of 2 years more maybe, and you will see two people like really, fighting each other in an esports environment where there'll be one person who's a man and who's a woman.
Yeah,
I don't see that not happening.
Thank you so much. So Piyush, what are the challenges and different barriers someone would face when they want to join streaming? Like it can be from anywhere between, let's say, an example of a 17-year-old kid coming to Piyush. Hi Piyush, help me. I want to become a streamer. I love playing games. I play 8 hours a day. And now I want to make money. My parents are eating my head. What should I do? What would be your answer?
No, I think it's completely irrespective of age. I think the primary skill is you need to know how to play the game well.
Definitely.
That's one main requirement, and therefore, just like any other career, you need to have put in a certain number of hours to have played, learned, have a very differentiated way of playing. Something which is not very normal. That's a starting point. Secondly, to be a streamer, couple of things which are very important. One, you need to be extremely confident, while you're speaking, or even if you can, and much better if you have a cam, you can show yourself, you can, sort of connect with your viewers much better.
So that's a counter question. You must have seen some difference. People showing their cam versus not showing their cam. What is the difference in your stats?
So the difference is that people typically, when they're in a competitive environment, they don't show themselves in the face camera. They prefer to focus on their game. But people, when they're streaming, when they're entertaining their audience, they typically tend to show it. Also, it depends on what is their gaming setup. Do they have a decent camera? Are they streaming from their PC? Wherever, it depends. Like if they're typically streaming from mobile, they tend to have it off, switched off. But for anyone to pick it up as a career, I think that's very important. It provides a very relational, a thing between the viewer and the person who's streaming. Secondly, having a very confident voice, having calling out your followers at the regular interval, entertaining their requests, etc., and doing a proper commentary through your game really helps. Largely, and then the last point is how entertaining you become. You need to have your own flair. You need to have something which is very unique about you, either through the way you speak, your language, your community, etc., that you're building. But take it like any other entertainment career, just that you need to have a very strong skill of being, playing a game pretty well. That's how it starts.
So Abhishek, tell me three types of streamers which will be more successful in the next coming 5 years or 10 years. According to you, like let's say hyper casual game is on the rise these days. So what kind of streamers are on the rise? What kind of categories are on the rise according to you?
See, to be frank, in last couple of years, we have seen like a lot of diversity coming into the streaming category, right? If we talk about specifically games, right? So on the first hand, we have Carry Minati, whose gameplay is not so good, but his entertainment, his pull, he's really attractive to his crowd, right?
Definitely.
So he's actually doing wonderful things. So this category that has a mixture of both entertainment and gaming wherein gaming is, to be precise, not so appreciable, is actually a good category. Then we have Scout or Jonathan, who are actually marking their presence with their game skills, right, while they are streaming. So people actually learn a lot while watching their streams. And then we can talk about hyper casual category that you just rightly said right now. So on Facebook, we have seen many content creators who are just playing Ludo or Solitaire, who are actually attracting a good amount of viewers. In fact, we have seen Samay Raina playing chess on YouTube. He actually attracts extremely good amount of viewers, and it is actually a wonderful thing to be happening. And the best part about hyper casual games is that anybody can play and anybody can stream. You don't require a kind of a skill set like you require it for Dota or PUBG or like BGMI or Free Fire. Ludo is something, or chess is something, or solitaire is something that me and you, like, we can play and stream while we are at our workplace, right? So that category is also actually a good category.
Yeah. So Trinity Games, what are the major categories you have seen?
So we have seen obviously, like, majorly in the mobile sector, because we are the mobile first nation. So we have majority talent who are playing BGMI, Free Fire, or these are all the core major games. Categories. All the core games. But in the last 6 months, we have actually seen many talents coming up to us who are actually playing Ludo or hyper casual games, right? So again, it is an evolving industry, so it keeps on evolving every day. Every day is a new day.
Okay, thank you so much. Rohit, you mostly are into core games. I'm just looking at your website: Clash Royale, League of Legends, Call of Duty, and Clash of Clans, of course, like the classic. So let's say, which of these categories have you seen the most revenue potential, and which will be the next major category according to you? For example, let's say PUBG might grow a lot, but except PUBG, what are the other games which will grow, and what are the games which will die in the next 5 years? Just from your perspective.
Yeah, so currently we are into Clash of Clans, we are into BGMI, previously known as PUBG, and Call of Duty Mobile. And we've created a few IPs here and there for Free Fire. I think Free Fire is on a rise. BGMI obviously has gotten a lot of attention only with their whole Android launch, and they've still not even got an whole iOS version of the game. So I think the returns on BGMI are going to be the best compared to all the other games. Call of Duty, I think, is a great game. It is for enthusiasts, but however, I think the whole community that plays Call of Duty, it's like, it is a niche. I mean, it's not a massy game, as a matter of fact. So I think in terms of returns, I think the two best games that I'd put my money or I'd bet on is, BGMI or Free Fire. But obviously, there is Valorant Mobile that's, in the works. There's League of Legends Wild Rift that's in the works. So, I mean, I think MOBA would be, I don't know how India would take MOBA, after League of Legends Wild Rift coming in. It could also be a massive boom. But yeah, I think for now, I think India is India is a market that prefers FPS games more than, other games. But I strongly believe that even Wild Rift and, even Valorant Mobile will do really well because of the fact that, Riot did really well with Valorant also.
Yeah.
So, that's what I believe.
Pranav, like the next question is just based on the last feedback. So FPS is big in India. What about Minecraft? What about like the other amazing categories of game which we have globally doing very well? What do you think? Will we have a rise or shift in, let's say, strategy or arcade or even like role-playing games in India as like regular streaming?
Correct. So I think Minecraft shockingly did really well right now. I feel majority of our talents are doing Minecraft and have sort of broken Indian records in terms of live concurrent viewership.
But I generally see most of the videos are PUBG, or most of them are first FPS games.
Yeah, I mean there are, but like that's the shift that is happening. There are a lower set of talents that are playing Minecraft. GTA somehow has gone really big as well, right? And there are multiple. I think Roblox can probably enter India and do well because it's an open world game. So I think it's just people need to experiment, and content creators need to bring in unique sort of values with games and make it a success. Like it is a mobile first country, but nobody had thought that Minecraft and GTA would do as many big numbers as it is doing right now. But there needs to be someone who comes in and brings in unique sort of proposition in terms of content creation on YouTube, and any game can be famous.
So I forgot the name of the game, but there was a game which got 500 million just in a month. It's recently on mobile and all the other multi-platform. It's like a core game. It
Crash
looks like,
Bandicoot?
yeah, Crash Bandicoot actually did very well. So what about a hyper casual game like Crash Bandicoot?
I feel Crash Bandicoot did so many big numbers because it was ideally a big marketing strategy, and there was a very big budget assigned to it. But definitely, I feel Crash Bandicoot is one game which is also playable on a console like PlayStation 5, right? And it's all across multiplayer games. So, like Abhishek correctly mentioned, Samay Raina and all of these guys are doing really well with hyper casual games, and Crash Bandicoot could be one of them.
So Genshin Impact is a game which is very successful right now, and I have seen like it rising numbers in the like Eastern market and even in like Japan, South Korea, and it also made around $1 billion in just like 2 months or 3 months. It is one of the best core selling games. Do you think, like, it's an open question because I think Piyush is also. Do you think Genshin Impact will do well in India? Rohit, Abhishek, Pranav, Piyush, any one of you?
Oh, I mean, I've seen people playing Genshin,
Okay.
especially from the whole Call of Duty mobile community. I think
Yeah.
people are playing Genshin. But again, the major problem I see with Genshin, it's to download the game. It's really large. It's really high on data consumption. I think the device that you need is a little, I mean, you need like a proper iPhone, iPad to play the game, at its best. So. I mean, I think it's going to be like COD. It's going to be for the niche. It's never going to be a massy game.
So Genshin Impact, I feel, was inspired from Nintendo's successful title
Zelda. Legend of
exactly.
Zelda. Yeah.
Legend of Zelda, the mechanics, and it went very viral. Yeah. So if it's only on iPhone, then I definitely agree. It won't be like a mainstream game for sure.
It is on Android as well, but I mean the specifications that you need to play the phone is a little too heavy.
Okay.
But strangely, I think it's doing really good in numbers. It's number 3 on the App Store.
Top grossing.
Yeah.
So Parinita and Piyush, common question.
Yeah.
So Parinita, where do you see VR games in the future? And Piyush, when will the two merge and we'll have like a VR streaming as a mainstream thing, not just like a sideline thing? Parinita, you can start, please.
Yeah. So see, VR, I feel, is completely revolutionary, and the way it's growing, though I would say yes, due to the current pandemic and to the cost, it has taken a step back. But the way it's growing and the way it will grow with the upcoming VR studios as the new concept, where people don't burn a big hole in their pocket. It's the next thing. It's how gaming will go to the next level is through VR, is what I feel. Okay.
I do remember a game where like the Star Wars kind of fantasy where you have to break things like this, and it was very popular in like streaming at least.
So see, all that is there. What do you think? Any gamer, like the demographics of the gamers is changing, but what do they want? Each one of them wants the best experience at the most affordable cost, right? And what they will actually, I think VR right now, the tethered headsets where the social experience gets is not there. It has kind of pulled VR a little back. But with the next level of growth will come from VR gaming studios, which kind of gives you the complete atmosphere for the most immersive gaming experience that one can have.
Parinita, one more question. There was a slight, like it was like a Bitcoin rise of VR and it slowly faded down and it just relaxed right now. So any comments?
Yes. I will tell you why. So see, basically, like I told you, like people don't want to spend a lot, and the VR headsets were quite expensive. And the thing that it lacked was it made you very sedentary. Like you could just stand in one place, and when the wire used to pull you with that screen, it was very annoying for the gamers, right? One is that. Second, the other thing is that the cost is too high for you to just play alone with one headset. it becomes a very solitary experience. It doesn't involve anyone else.
So do you
While
think
you're
cost
playing-
might also be an issue in
Yes.
India?
Yes, it could be. It could be, because all of these large companies, if you see Sony, HTC, they're now working on headsets which could, the same quality could be there with a lower price point. So that's
I
what
think
they're
Oculus
targeting
actually
on.
made a very easy to use headphones headset.
Yes, yes. So a lot of them have come in, even HP is coming in. So that is why, to overcome this, I think the solution would be rather VR gaming studios, where people, the setup is more like an industrial level, where more number of players can go together. Like if you've heard the concept of free roam VR, that is the next thing which is coming in VR, wherein it's like it's a concept which, like by time machine, you're transported to a different world. You play the game for whatever 30 minutes, 60 minutes, and then you're back into your own world. So that's how the experience is, and it's like you're really shooting inside the game. So, and that gives you a very immersive experience, as well as everything is mobile, untethered. So it will just bring back the VR enthusiasts and the gamers back to the VR gaming. They need that kind of a platform, and it doesn't burn a hole in your pocket, because you just pay for the game time that you've played for. You don't have to kind of pay for the headsets and the hardware and the software, nothing. Secondly, I think, such places will become like an app store for other developers. So that's how then they've also tied up with a company called Darkslope, wherein they've built games for youngsters, some 6 to 8 years, who can come and play there. And so you don't want to buy a VR headset for an 8-year-old, right? But they want to experience it. So how do you do that? So, that is how really it will translate. Also, you could incorporate learning. You could incorporate, say, gamified assessments in VR form, which will help children to learn. So basically, it will all lead, ultimately, learning, gaming, and VR will all converge together. Because, this online gaming right now is going because of a lot of mobile penetration, because of COVID. But what next? I didn't mean it's difficult. I just said that it's time and it's evolving.
Yeah, I think from my point of view, I kind of agree to what Parinita said. But see, I have two main points to make here. One, I think VR as a technology needs to first succeed for content in general. I don't think we have really scaled that well. There are a few genres like space content, a few other content where it works well. But even with my Oculus, whenever I go and try and look for some interesting content, they are far and few. And I think that is the first thing. That first, it's a gradual step. So I think first the content needs to be done. Like people like Netflix, etc., needs to invest a lot so that the learning curve is brought down. People start to use VR devices more often. I don't see people will pick up VR right away for gaming. So that's one.
Yeah.
At least from my end of whatever little I've seen, that people would come up and play a new game VR, or they'll buy a VR set for a new game. So what needs to happen is to bring down that learning curve. Again, successful games which are very popular on mobile and are also popular on PC, perhaps would need to adopt VR as a medium, so that people who are playing these games on other devices can graduate to VR and start to experience it, and then it becomes a sort of a norm or a trend. But yeah, it's way too early. I mean, we are still adjusting to mobile in India, at least. We are still figuring out which are the right price handsets, etc. And companies are coming up with right accessories. Let's get that in first. Let's get few more mobiles in first before we actually graduate to VR.
Got it. Good. Yeah, interesting answer. So last question to all of you. So what is the one game, like you can only choose one game, which you think anybody right now watching it should start streaming on? Like you can just choose any one game you want. So I'll start with Pranav.
So I mean, if I have to go from an economic standpoint, I would go for BGMI or Minecraft. But from something that I would have fun playing with, I would go for Warzone. So
I would suggest Valorant. I think Valorant is coming up pretty well. It's an interesting.
I think there should be some consistency between all the streamers here. Like,
no, I'm coming to that. So I think I'll choose between BGMI and Valorant. I think both are different games. If one could actually learn it on PC pretty well, then Valorant for sure. Otherwise, BGMI, I think in the new avatar is really, really good, and it is likely to succeed quite a lot in India, given how PUBG did well over 2 years that they were growing in India.
With respect to the economic standpoint and asking for a contract from Piyush, I would like to play BGMI.
Okay.
And my personal choice and
okay, you can't say
like,
BGMI. You have to choose some other game. Everybody's choosing
Okay.
BGMI now.
And if I talk about my personal interest, I like playing fighting games a lot, like Injustice and Tekken on PlayStation. So I like these games, although koi viewership nahi hai in games ka, but
Okay.
these games are something that I personally like a lot.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Piyush, Abhishek, Rohit, Pranita, Pranav. And yes, thank you, Bhavna, and over to you now.